The views and opinions expressed on This Can't Be Adulting are solely those of the host and do not represent or reflect the views of any individual, organization, employer, or entity we may be affiliated with. The content of this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Listener discretion is advised. Yo, welcome to This Can't Be Adulting, the podcast where two guys who probably should have it all figured out absolutely don't.
Careers, money, relationships. No one handed us a manual, so we're figuring it out the only way we know how, with real talk, deep dives, and a whole lot of laughs.
I'm Herb.
And I'm Derek. And if you're out here wondering, am I doing this right? Trust us, you're not alone.
So hit play, relax, and let's figure this out together. Yo, welcome back to This Can't Be Adulting, episode number 11.
11.
11.
Is that a milestone? Or is 10 the milestone?
I feel like 10 is a milestone, but 11 is, I like the ones.
Yeah, let's go. 1-1.
1-1.
Couple technical difficulties, as you'll see in episode 10. There was a little bit of
about that.
audio difficulties. Hey, we're learning and we're evolving. And you know what? Ain't nobody can be mad at you today, dog.
That's why not, Derek?
Why can't we be mad at Herb today?
So you tell me why you can't be mad at me.
Today is Herb's birthday. We are literally recording on Herb's birthday.
On my birthday.
And you know what I think is deceiving is that the description of our podcast is two gentlemen or something approaching 40. Herb hit 40 today, dog. He out here. We got to change that shit.
We got to change the description now.
We got to change that to one man approaching 40 because I'm still not 40.
Elder statesman over here teaching a young buck.
Young buck. Hey, happy birthday, big dog.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And thank you to all who sent out birthday wishes as well. Much appreciated. And yeah.
Holla back, man. How do you feel? You feel different?
I feel young.
You feel young.
I feel young again.
Every time I talk, one thing that Herb's been really, really on cue with, and this is just like his mantra. I used to talk to him years ago about, man, we getting old. Herb would be, I'm getting excited, bro. I feel like I'm getting into my own, bro. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm getting better. Aging like fine wine, like he takes that to the fullest, and he still lives by that mantra.
Bro, I've come a long way. I feel like I had a little ugly duckling syndrome kind of growing up, so I feel like now
I think we all did. I
mean, now I've gotten older, kind of fell into myself. Things going well. You know what?
You feeling yourself, bro?
I'm feeling good around this thing.
Hey, man, it's all about up here, bro. It's all about that mentality,
that is true,
bro.
That
you know
is
what I'm
very
saying?
true.
So
that is very true.
If you got that good mentality,
very
as cliche as it sounds, literally age ain't nothing but a number. Man, you are as old as you think you are.
But a number.
Hey, and
pretty Ricky over here.
This guy out here, I'm bugging out. Hey, man, but like I said, happy birthday. You deserve it all. We about to go have some fun tomorrow for your birthday. So
yeah.
We won't tell you what we're gonna do because actually, I haven't done that shit in a while.
That's true.
It's been a long time.
Years.
Years. So it'll be interesting how we handle it.
I'm surprised it's still legal.
Oh, shit. Now we're going to make you guys think. But hey, like Herb said, welcome to the podcast where we talk about how messy it is to be a goddamn adult.
A little bit.
It'll be messy as fuck today.
A little bit.
And we've got a really, really good episode today. Herb wanted to definitely talk about this from a while back. And I think it was fitting on how it landed today, with tomorrow being this country's independence. I say that like this because, as you all know,
freedom.
Many people didn't have their freedom when this country had independence.
But it set the stage for they were thinking ahead.
Oh, of course,
saying that, knowing that, although what's good for the goose may not necessarily be good for one of those type of sayings right there. Or it may be like
what's good for me but not for thee.
Well, there's an old saying in Tennessee. They say it in Texas too. Fool me once, shame on. One of those type of things right there.
We definitely feel some sort of way, but I think we ended up picking this episode to do on politics without even put into consideration that this is big celebration going on tomorrow for some Americans. I don't celebrate the 4th of July anymore. I just happen to have all my friends who are on holiday who happen to be free, and we're going to hang out. That's literally what it comes down to.
Well, I like to think of it as, my birthday is so exciting and such a great experience for everyone is that I decided that, with the powers invested in me, that I could give everyone a holiday the day after my birthday.
I appreciate that.
And please feel free to take that, call in your employer. I'll handle it. Any issues, please tell them to email thiscan'tbeadulting@gmail.com. I got your work release forms. Don't worry about it.
We're good to go. For Herb's birthday, that's what I was celebrating for Herb's birthday. And coupled with that, we had some, what I would argue, some terrible news with a big shitty bill that passed today. And that fell in line with
That
our
is not what the
politics
name of that bill.
Oh, it's not? Oh.
That ain't what I saw.
I could have swore that's what it was.
That ain't what they said on mine when I was watching.
Selective sight is what I have. Selective sight and hearing.
Okay.
So I hear it's called the big shitty bill. But anyways, we'll talk a little bit about that later on in this podcast. But to set the tone and to set the structure of how we're going to talk about things, it's not just going to be like, let's just talk about politics willy-nilly. I'm sure it'll go into that, but we do certainly have some structure. As you know, y'all folks here, obviously Herb and I know, but we like to talk about the evolution of Herb and Derek.
Yes.
When it comes to every topic.
How did we get here?
How did we get here?
What shaped us?
What did that? So to start things off, I do want to talk a little bit about where it all began, right? Where did it all begin? First and foremost, I want to talk about childhood impressions. So Herb, with regards and with respects to politics, what were your earliest impressions? Was politics talked about a lot in your household? Did you hear it in your community? Was it TV and culture? Give me a little breakdown from right there.
I don't think it was something that was ever like not the news coverage. It wasn't like it is today. You got to remember, like back in the early 90s, and I'll say my earliest experiences of politics was, like I say, I'm from Arkansas.
Yeah.
92. Billy C. Clinton came through for your boy.
Hey.
And I just remember like the night watching the election night that night, and then my parents like having all these went and bought like tons of newspapers, and they still have them to these days, probably like 20 newspapers of like the Arkansas, which is the Arkansas paper, the Arkansas Gazette, which is the I don't know, state paper in Arkansas.
It would.
And just like
it sounds like it would call the Arkansas Gazette.
Yeah.
That sounds like it makes sense.
As an athlete, bro, you want to be in that Arkansas Gazette.
I feel
That's
you.
where it was at.
I feel you.
And the boy was in there too. The boy was in, but
multiple times.
I digress. But I just remember like growing up, that was probably my first introduction to politics, was seeing Bill Clinton become the president and he being from Arkansas, and just like how excited all my family was. Like, oh, we had an Arkansas president, and I didn't know anything about it, but
yeah, I was going to say, so dive into that. When you say that's the first thing you know about politics, like, what does that actually mean? You're talking surface level, right?
Absolutely.
Just like,
all I knew was the president was from Arkansas.
Yeah, he's from Arkansas, and you all about it. And I guess, how did your parents talk about it?
Now, I will say, growing up, I always knew that, I don't know how, but I always knew that we, all my family are mostly Democrats.
Okay.
And a lot of that developed from growing up, and a lot of family members benefited from a lot of the government welfare programs that, you know, a lot of unfortunate, you know, urban communities or black families benefit from. So everybody was mostly Democrats, just based on the fact that that's who we felt like was supporting our championing our causes and people that spoke for us, even though, you know, you look back on it and that maybe necessarily wasn't always the case. But that's kind of like the first, like what I knew of, like, oh, we Democrats just because they're the ones that kind of benefit from these programs.
Interesting. Okay, that's a crazy wherewithal to have at that age, because we're talking about 7, 8 years old when Bill Clinton became president.
Yes, yeah. Now my dad, I will say this, credit to my dad, he was big on exercising your right to vote. So even though, let's see, when Bill Clinton was voted, I was 7 years old. He took me with him into the to vote, and like just let me see what it was like to vote. And he would do that for a lot of kids in the community.
Love that.
Like black kids in the community, just because he like thought it was just so important that we understood like voting and our right to vote. And it's so funny because even after he passed, like I had
R.I.P.
Parents of kids that he had took come up and be like, I remember your dad taking my kid to go and vote, and I was like, I didn't think that would resonate with. They would think about that like that was something that would resonate with them, and they would still be thinking about it, 40, 50 years later. So, but that was kind of, so he did teach me like far as like, exercising my right to vote, and making it like showing me kind of like the process of even voting and what that looked like. So I understood the process. So I always knew like once I became 18, even when I was in college, like I voted by mail ballot and things like that. So
yeah, because in Arkansas, Democrat, it counts more than anywhere else.
Yes, and it's very. Arkansas is a red state. Like, I mean, right? If you look at it now, but that was the one time it was blue.
Because of Bill Clinton. Yeah. Fascinating. That story you just told me about your dad is absolutely fascinating because that seems like a very pivotal moment for you as well.
Yes.
That made you probably a little bit more politically inclined, or at the very least to understand what your civic duty is
Right.
as
Yes.
an American citizen,
Yep.
and it's at least to vote,
Yep.
which I
Yes.
think we're lacking a lot of now. There's a lot of fatigue, and there's just a lot of people that grew up millennials who are now raising kids that are turning 18 who are just like, fuck this system, this shit don't work, I don't want to vote no more.
Yeah, because they've seen it like from, I guess, our age now, or our generation or a little bit older. I feel like as we got more information, that's when, I don't know, things kind of went haywire somewhere. But I also feel like that's been fairly recent too. I mean, it's easy to say, but I think like 2016 was like a pivotal changing point in politics in America.
Hold that thought, because we're going to get there. I want to get there. I still want to delve into the childhood aspect of it because I think it's very important. So, Democrat, based off of what your parents were saying now, or what you saw and what you saw in the black community and why they were supporting the Democrats. And Bill Clinton, that's a huge thing. I mean, without even realizing it, guys, obviously I knew you were from Arkansas. Obviously I know Bill Clinton's from Arkansas, but this is huge. Like you were thrown in the middle of the national spotlight, not you personally, but Arkansas. So you guys were hearing this, and it was just a huge buzz, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, man, it was crazy to think about and seeing. I think why I became a Democrat, like I was introduced to me, but also why I've remained a Democrat is that the 90s era, from the 90s to the 2000s, the Bill Clinton era, what I seen from my family, not even just in my specific home, immediately like with my parents, but also even outside of my home, was an economic boom to where like I saw a lot of like my family and family members go from low class, like I won't say poor, but like low class to like middle class, and like working nice jobs, buying homeowners, they're benefiting businesses. Like I saw my family benefit from all these things that was going on in the 90s. So it was like, dang, okay, this is what I'm on the right team here. This is kind of what I think is the right way to go. So I think that's what also shaped me, is just seeing like the benefits of the Clinton years growing up in the 90s. Like, man, this is good. This is all right.
That's so impressive, because to be honest with you, I say impressive due to the situationships that you were in, due to the where you lived, what the political climate was at the time, and who was from there at the time. And that makes a lot of sense. I wish I had a cool story like that about my politics when I was younger, but I genuinely don't remember any crazy details like that. What I do remember is similar to you, because I grew up in a predominantly black and brown community and city. That was what a lot of us tended to vote for as well.
Yes.
Now, whether that's warranted or not, I'm not even going to get into the nuances of it, because at the end of the day, when you get older, you start realizing that a lot of Democrats really ain't about shit. But in a lot of instances, it came down to who actually is more about it than not.
Yes.
And the Democrats, at least at the time, were at least a little bit more about it than not. And so I think through that made me understand and realize that, okay, maybe I am Democrat without really realizing what Democrat was. Now, my parents weren't and still aren't very political, but they've always voted Democrat.
Okay.
And I think through that understanding, you grow up as a kid. I'm talking about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. That's just what it is. I think I also, what was really big, because I watched this a lot growing up, and we talked about this in our culture episode last week, MTV. And MTV did something really good, because they were trying to reach out to the youth, and they started following that political race, that campaign between Bill Clinton and George Bush in 1994.
Yes.
And they had Bill Clinton on there. I remember watching, and they asked him, have you ever smoked weed, or whatever the case was? And he was like, yes, I did, whatever the fuck it was. And it was like, that's our boy. Mind you, I didn't know what the fuck weed was at the time, but it was relevant culturally.
Yes.
Very relevant culturally. And I also remember that. And of course, I'm watching MTV. These are all older than me, but kids that I saw on TV, I was like, I want to be that kid. And I think that also resonated with me heavily. And those are some of the small things I remember between the ages, let's call it, of like 5 and 10 or whatever the case is,
Yeah, I think even a cooler story, like the influence of like just seeing Bill Clinton was in that whole campaign, and seeing Bill Clinton come of age, was that he played the saxophone on, was it Saturday Night Live? Or one of the late night shows he played the saxophone on. Bro, 6th grade, your boy in here playing the clarinet, because I wanted to learn. You had to play the clarinet to get to play the saxophone. So I was playing the clarinet, trying to play the saxophone like Bill Clinton out here, like Billy C. Now, I only did it for 1 year, but that was kind of like one of those influences. So.
No, but this is fascinating to me, kind of the breakdown of those early years and kind of understanding that. And then you start talking about Bill Clinton's second term.
Yes.
Which got really dicey.
Okay.
But with that said, we were kids. And we was at that age,
he's one of us.
He is one of us. He's hooking up with the intern. In hindsight, probably not the smartest move. But like, we're speaking very honest here. That's why we're hearing This Can't Be Adultin. That gave the man cred.
Yes. It was like connecting to the regular people.
He's like, he's a real person.
Yes.
Now, for the record, now that I am where I am right now, Bill Clinton and the Clintons are terrible people, and they are not good for society. Let's be honest. However, at the time, it was completely different.
I feel like this is so funny because not to get ahead of ourselves, because like we feel like there may be one party that's a cult right now. Like even hearing you say like, man, Bill Clinton was terrible people, and I know it. But hey, man, I'm the Clintons, man. You can't talk about the Clintons like that.
I know that's true. Hey, them and the Waltons are the pride and joy of Arkansas, bro. Because as much shit as I want to talk about Walmart too, it's like they're the pride and joy. And they've done a lot for Arkansas in reality of it.
That's what I was thinking. Like Bill Clinton, Arkansas, like just being from Arkansas at coming up in the 90s, those were like we had things that be prideful of. Scottie Pippen, Bill Clinton, Walmart, and I know these things sound like very minute and miniature, like what are you talking about? But like as a kid from Arkansas, you had things that lay claim to, like, oh, the president from Arkansas, small, like, or like Scottie Pippen's on the Bulls in the 90s, like he's Robin to Batman, like things come from Arkansas, and I think that's something that as a kid from Arkansas growing up, like that was a very prideful thing.
It's good. So those are some of the things. Now, are there any other people, events that you remember growing up that carved or made you either reaffirm your beliefs or made you maybe move in a different direction that you can think of? And we can start bleeding into maybe our teenage years, right? Because there's obviously one main event that I'm thinking of that happened. But before we even get to that main event, anything else? Church,
I don't think it was,
communities, or anything like that?
I think because everybody in the church was even, and it was so, I always look at it so ironic because everybody in the church was always voting Democrat. But if you know anything about growing up conservative or growing up in the Southern Baptist Church, it's super conservative. They're not with the homosexuality. They're not into like a lot of these things that a lot of liberals or Democrats would be voting for yet, or like even like pro-life or pro-choice. Like they're not with all that, but they still would vote Democratic. And it was just so weird just to kind of see like to be able to be like, hey, although we don't support these things, we also feel like the overall benefits of this party is to vote this way. And I always thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it was super interesting. I recall the 2000 election, which was between George W. Bush, George Jr. I don't think everyone's called him George Jr. I just call him that.
And Gore.
Yeah, and Al Gore. And I remember that being very pivotal. And was I upset? I don't know if I want to say upset because, again, I can't remember being that into politics at the time, but I remember this because it was at the time one of the most, and still probably one of the most controversial elections that's ever happened. Yeah. That was the election year of the hanging Chad. Does everybody know what the hanging Chad is? Do you know what the hanging Chad actually means?
Oh yeah. With the whole ballots and with the paper getting a little, it was an issue, a malfunction with the issue of the machines.
Yeah.
And counting votes or not counting votes, double counting votes, things like that.
Back in the day, to all y'all younger folks, you remember, right now we cast ballots, it's all digital. Right. But back then, you used to actually have to punch a hole through the candidate that you wanted to go through with the little like puncher thing or whatever it was with the machine. It would punch a hole. Hanging Chad is when the machine wouldn't punch completely through. And there was that little paper that was still hanging on. That's a hanging Chad. Fun fact, I just learned that like a year ago. Like I literally didn't know. Everyone was hanging Chad. I'd just be like, hey, I'm like, what does that actually mean? I looked it up. I'm like, oh my God, obviously. Literally had no idea. And that was, and again, this is me realizing now, but that was when the Republicans party really started playing dirty.
Because that was the whole Bush is jail down in Florida. And they was
because they were doing the whole messy thing, and they took it to the Supreme Court, and they played all these technicalities, and that was when, again, I'm realizing now, having this conversation, when I'm realizing when Democrats started becoming a bunch of pussies, to be honest with you.
That's fair.
They're playing the game.
Well, I would also say I do remember that race, and one of the parts of that, one of the big things of the race was that Gore didn't want the Clintons to campaign for him because of they were coming out of the whole the scandals and things, and Gore ended up losing Tennessee, his home state. So it's like bro. What we had. So then, at that point, it was like he lost. Of course, he lost Arkansas as well. So it was more like
hindsight 2020 at that point. You know what I'm saying? But
not to go far into this, but I will say we got W, and at the time, I was no fan of W.
Yeah.
At the time, but looking back, W was an interesting cat, man. He's an interesting cat. That's all I can say is an interesting.
Okay, cat. I was gonna say because he was also. He was literally Trump, except without the brashness and the whole thing. Policy-wise, he was absolutely horrendous. And to be honest with you, he wasn't calling the shots because the whole time it was Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
Dick Cheney was running shit. Newt Gingrich was the Speaker of the House. It was just a whole fiasco.
It was a whole lot of puppet show.
It was a lot of puppet show, and he was just kind of in there because of his dad's name. But at the end of the day, we're not even going to get into the whole too much like that. But, obviously what changed a lot and what was crazy was 9/11.
Yeah, I remember it.
9/11, I remember that yesterday. And that was such a big thing. We were juniors in high school.
Yep.
Just started our junior year.
Yes, sir.
And I remember being in the cafeteria and our principal came in and stopped everything. We were having lunch because we used to, I think I had first period lunch was 11:20. And I was East Coast and the towers were crashed into around 9:30. So it was 2 hours later. But you got to realize at the time nobody had cell phones. There wasn't any of that shit. This is straight up, got the news. He was we've been attacked by terrorists. And it was what the fuck by terrorists? And at the time, you automatically assume terrorists are just people that hate you for no reason at all. And they just want to kill you and blah, blah, blah.
That word didn't really have a meaning to it at the time. It wasn't a thought at the time when that happened.
Correct. It wasn't a thought. And I remember him saying that, and then we used to have TVs in the classrooms that I didn't even know worked.
Yeah.
That I didn't even know worked. And all of a sudden they worked, and they had the news on the entire day. And I'm like, these hoes work the whole time? What the fuck?
We've been rolling that down from the library in here to watch movies this whole time.
Make sure you reserved it at the library. And so we're watching this whole tower thing, and Bush happened to be in office at the time, but I just remember all the messaging that I was receiving was making me feel like we need to retaliate.
Yes.
I felt this immense sense of pride of being American.
Absolutely.
Even though I wasn't Republican, I was 15 at the time. You had just turned 16. I was turning 16 a month later. But I was 15 at the time, and I just remember being yo, we got to get this back. Because I felt like we were sort of brainwashed by news media as to this came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We didn't deserve this.
Unprovoked.
And granted, those 3,000 people that died did not deserve to die. That's not what I'm saying. But it was one of those things where, oh shit, Bush and this Republican Party that I didn't think I was a part of as much as I was into politics at the time made me feel like now we're all one. Now we're all united.
Yeah.
You remember that? How you feel?
Oh my God, bro. That's the most united I would say that America has been in my lifetime.
Valid.
That's when you seen everybody flying the flag, and we had one common enemy, and it was Al Qaeda, Al whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It was, and then I remember we don't know anything about Afghanistan. We still don't even know, but even back then, Afghanistan, we're oh hell no, anything. So anything that ended with a stand, it was on. Pakistan, Afghanistan,
boom.
Any stand, it was on over there, and it was always also if you had any from the Middle East during the Clinton years, you had the whole thing that went over in Kuwait and Bosnia. All we knew about the Middle East was war.
The Gulf War.
Yeah. So all we knew about that was war over there. So then we're they're gonna try to come over here and hit us with this.
Exactly.
It's time for us to go blow up the whole Middle East. Now,
correct.
That's crazy to think of the whole Middle East because we consider the whole Middle East, and I think a lot of people here still do. All is one. These countries have their own individual identities.
Yep.
But to us, it was all one. And they even had the song come out. I don't know the difference between Iraq and Iran, but I don't give a damn. And that's
wild, bro.
That was it. That was the whole motto in America was damn it, we gonna get them some bitches out there. They come over there and try us
Correct.
And
it was this crazy unification. And then they got us into a fake war with Iraq at the time because they lied to us. It's similar to what's happening right now with Iran. They said Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction and that they were clearly going to come get us, so we had to go get them first. They were responsible for it, and we had to, in reality, we had to overthrow their government because we didn't like the regime because they didn't listen to us. We wanted somebody that was friendly in there. Didn't work out in the end because now what ended up happening? The Taliban took over Iraq.
Yeah.
It ended up being a lot worse.
Yeah, you created a power vacuum.
A crazy power vacuum. And again, this is all shit that I did not realize at the time.
No.
For a little bit, I was on board though.
Bro, you talk about on board. We was on board. We were dropping bombs over Baghdad. Like, it was
Oh my
on.
god! Oh shit, that's right, dog. We
It
had
was
fucking
on. We
Outkast.
were
Yeah.
literally saying to Pride, like, we coming to kill everybody, and we don't care if you were innocent, you had anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you live over there, we was coming for you. And that's crazy, the mindset we had, because we allowed our military to go over there with that mindset, and we allowed our government to be able to use that as the strategy to go over there and do whatever we wanted to.
They bamboozled us, and that was the mindset a lot of us had, and that's a lot of the mindset a lot of us have right now with what's going on in Iran. It's literally the same thing. It's 2 and 2.
Yes.
Because there were a lot of people that were
kill
against
America.
the war. Yep.
They were chanting "Kill America." Like,
Yeah.
I get you. Like, I mean, I can go and, like that. I feel like the whole chanting "Kill America," like, okay, so why were they chanting "Kill America"? Who was chanting it? Why were they chanting it? What's the context of them chanting? We has just dropped missiles on them that day.
Yeah.
No bullshit. They want to kill America.
No
That's
doubt.
crazy.
Yeah. Of
Like,
course.
but-
And there's actually more background to that. In
Yes,
reality,
but
they're
yes,
talking about kill America policy because, you fucking, man, history lessons that I don't necessarily want to go into. But I think this brings us to a good pivotal point because what was I don't even know if I want to call it a turning point because it's not like I ever turned Republican.
Right.
But there was more of a turning point in terms of when I actually started becoming a little more aware of why I was a Democrat and where it landed.
Yes.
And I don't know if you recall, but for me, it was that transition from my senior year of high school into college. So we're talking about that 2004 era.
Yep.
We're talking about that era because there was another election going on.
The 04.
It was John Kerry.
Yes.
And it was John Kerry was talking about, hey, your dog, we need it, like, what the fuck is going on with all this shit? He was talking about better social programs, all that shit. He was going to continue the war. He was because he was the Secretary of Defense for a while under Clinton, was he? I believe he was Secretary of Defense in the Clinton, or maybe no, it was under Obama. Sorry, but like I remember that being a pivotal thing, and I know why it was a pivotal thing. And I'll tell you right now, the one thing that I remember so specifically was in college. I played soccer in college, as you guys know. There was a bunch of Republicans on the team.
Okay.
And they were from Texas. I remember one in specific, who is a good friend of mine right now, by the way. And he's one of the few people that I still talk to. He actually lives a couple hours from here. And I remember him and I arguing because he was going for Bush. And I was going for John Kerry. And I remember it was more of like I was standing on business and principle. Because like, Mike, it was like, bro, you're a white boy. You don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Like, that's how I took it at the time.
Okay.
If I could remember. And I remember that was the first time I could vote. I had just turned 18.
Yep.
No, I had just turned 19.
Yeah,
actually.
but that's the first major election.
First major election that I can vote in. I remember voting in Massachusetts at the time. I didn't even do absentee ballots. I was a resident of Massachusetts. I went to school in Boston. I remember proudly voting for John Kerry and genuinely being upset when Bush lost.
Yes.
Like genuinely being upset. Okay. But I think I remember from that day being like, oh no, like I am quote unquote Democrat because I do understand what they're speaking of. Now, whether what they're speaking is truly what they're doing, but like I align more with their mentality.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it was a turning point of, all right, I'm going down this path now.
Was there a specific policy or specific talking point that deterred you from the Republicans, or one that made you become even more of a Democrat? Like, was it anything that...
It was the religion thing that really irked me.
Okay.
And specific, it was the way they spoke about the LGBTQ community.
Oh, even back then?
Back then. It was specifically that. Mind you, I always had said a lot of homophobic things when I was younger because I didn't know any better.
Right. Yep.
I dropped the F-bomb all the time. It was just completely normal.
Yes.
However, I always believed, even though I was saying some pretty crappy things, not to their face, but it doesn't matter, I was saying it out of just ignorance. However, I always believed that they had a right to be married and a right to be together. I didn't comprehend, and I never could comprehend why they didn't or why they shouldn't.
Yep.
And I remember that was a big issue for me with the Republican Party because all the evangelical Christians would come on and be like, no, you deserve to go to hell. And I'd be like, I don't understand. Like, why? Like, that makes no sense. They're not like hurting anyone. And that was a stance that I was very much like, nah, fuck that. Like, I can't do this.
And I don't want to dive off into that, go too deep into that. But part of what played into that as well with the homosexuality, and one of the things that they were putting on us at that time was the AIDS.
Yeah,
coming
that's
up
right.
from the early 90s up into the, I would even say like mid,
No,
2010.
that shit started in the 80s.
But I'm saying like that's when you saw Eazy-E died, and then one of the other swimmer guy caught it. It was someone else prominent died of AIDS, so it's kind of like, oh my God. Then Magic Johnson obviously got it, so it was kind of like, this is what happened. And then it was like, oh well, that comes from the homosexual community, so that's why God don't like homosexuality, and that's why He created this disease. And you're young at that time. I hadn't fully gotten out of my religious doctrine, so that made sense to me. Like, oh shucks, now that's like, again, needless to say, I still, ultimately felt like, if people want to be happy, people want to be happy. That's how it. But I also was looking at it like, man, because the thing in Southern Baptist is that like one of the greatest sins you can be is homosexual. And I was like, man, that never made sense to me even then. Like, man, I don't see why that should be such a sin. The greatest sin that you could be as a homosexual. You're telling me that like that's worse than killing someone? That never made sense to me. But it did play a lot into the.
I also think the reality is that topic also is something that we didn't talk about too intensely in our masculinity episode, but that played a lot into it. There was there was certainly some toxic masculinity that influenced,
absolutely,
especially in brown and black communities, that influenced that. And this is why, early on I would think, I would, say F, the F word and stuff like that, or just stuff like, oh, that's gay, stuff like that. Like now that I'm older, I'm like, bro, I don't even really say that. Like that doesn't even cross my mind anymore. Like, you know what I mean? And but it was stuff like that. But again, like for some reason, I always just felt and knew deep down inside, like, it doesn't matter. Not even for some reason. You know what the reality is that my uncle was gay. And so I knew he was gay growing up, but I loved my uncle. He was the fucking man. He was awesome. And so I think maybe that had a little bit to play with it, that influenced my views on that. And I just remember that being a very hot topic for me in 2004. And kind of thinking that, you know what I mean?
Because I feel like that's kind of when we started to kind of get the whole gay marriage kind of start to gain momentum, and you started hearing more, and that's kind of became like a topic. Like the whole homosexuality, I think, was definitely one of the big political talking points at the time. And then ultimately Obama came through and did some things for the LGBT community.
Yeah,
I would definitely say from a political standpoint, like that was just thinking of like, I just remember like growing up in the South and just that being one of the main talking points about what, why people were conservative and why people didn't want to go with the radical, the like say the radical left. It was all around gay rights and pro-choice and pro-life, and that was like the biggest two talking points that you would hear. So
yeah, I can see that being in the South, the Bible Belt, like that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, that's it. That was it.
That definitely makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I was always very averse. I had a lot of aversion towards religion, mainly because I just didn't like going to church. And so, when I would hear a lot of these religious things, to your point, I'd be like, man, that don't even make any sense. Like, what you mean? Like, I should be able to talk to God from wherever. Why do I need to go to church for this? Like, it's crazy. And the reality is I just didn't like church because it was boring as hell. That was all it really was. And I think that fed into it. But really the major turning point, and I think we're both going to agree with this, is 2008 Barack Obama.
Absolutely.
And for me in specific,
absolutely.
Because at the time I didn't consider myself very politically inclined.
Yep.
I graduated college, and I was looking for work.
A tough time at this time.
We're talking about the financial crisis. Obviously, that was very big too. That's right.
Yep.
Right around there that was happening. And I was looking for work, and I ended up getting a part-time job at I graduated with a major in mass communication. I got a part-time job at a place that I had interned at in Cranston, Rhode Island. It was a small crisis communications, marketing, and advertising firm. 4 people that worked there. The lady that worked there was good friends with the friends of my mom, so she had to give me the internship the 2 summers before, and then she was like, yeah, come work with me for now. I like the work you did for me as an intern. She was super cool, and she wanted to offer me a job. It was very low pay, and she was like, if I offer you a job, I need you to stay for a year. Like, I need you to commit for a year. I can't have you say yes for now because you don't have a full-time job, and then you leave me. Yeah. And I was like, that's fair, so I'm not going to take the job, because I'm going to need at least a little bit more. Yeah. And she was like, all right, here's what I'll do for you. I'm going to help you find a job. I'm all right, cool. She put me with all these connections, blah, blah. She used to work for a congressman in D.C. as a press secretary for Rhode Island in the early 90s. Yeah. So she was like, hey, I know someone at United States Senator Sheldon Whitehouse's office who is Democratic Rhode Island senator who just got in 2006 and displaced the Republican senator from Rhode Island. I'm like, I don't even like politics now. I'm not trying to move to D.C. Okay. And she was like, do me this solid. Just just talk to someone there. So I talked to someone there. I sent them my resume. It so happens that I was in final interviews with another company, with the UFW, the union organizers. Okay. They were like, we're flying you to D.C. for the final interview. So I was in D.C. when I got out the interview, killed it. My boss calls me. She's like, hey, you're in D.C. They want to talk to you at the office. Can you just shoot over there? What time's your flight? And I was like, I got 5 hours. She was like, can you over there? In my mind, I'm like, man, I don't want to go over there. But like, this lady's been helping me out so much. This lady, I love her. She was awesome. So I went over there and had this interview, and they loved me. And then they offered me the job. I got the other job too. I had to decide. The other job was going to keep me in Rhode Island. This one was going to have me move to D.C. I had a bunch of conversations, and they were like, take the D.C. job. Like, you don't understand how special and unique this is.
At this time, like, this could be able to.
At this pivotal time. And so long story short, I get to D.C. and I'm working on Capitol Hill for United States Senator. Yes. At the same time that Obama was a senator.
What year is this?
This is in 2008, May 2008. Dang. I just graduated in December of 2007. May 2008, I'm out there. Obama's the senator, but he's running for office. Yep. And I'm in the midst of all of this, the financial crisis. I learned about how the actual government works. Like, I knew the 3 branches of government, but I understood how the Congress and the Senate and the House of Representatives worked, how the Supreme Court actually was involved. There's different, dude, it was mind blowing. And I fell in love, and I really started to understand how bills were passed and how people got screwed and how backdoor deals got done, coupled with the lightness, the hope that literally Barack Obama brought to it all. Yeah. And it was game over for me. Yep. I worked for the second most liberal senator in the Senate. At the time, I say second because the first was always Bernie Sanders. Okay. The second was Barack Obama. The third was my senator. I say second because Barack went, President Obama. I'm calling Barack homies. President Obama went and became president. But like, those 2.5 years were eye-opening, and just hearing, and I used to have to manage constituent calls, emails, and just hearing the ignorance of so many people on shit that they didn't know and they didn't understand was just mind-boggling. Anyways, that helped me, but I'll let you chime in.
No, I think you're definitely hitting on something. This is definitely, once that Obama came, I think that's the first time where I got involved in politics. And I don't want to say even got involved, just started actually watching, MSNBC or watching Fox News, or watching CNN. Like, that was the first time I started actually watching them shows on my own and started trying to understand. And I remember you started talking about the process of passing bills and things. I think earmarks is like a buzzword, learning about what's earmarks. They putting all these earmarks in these bills and blah blah blah. And so that was the first time, seeing Obama. And I remember, this is when I had just graduated college in 2007, moved out to L.A., and then I was in L.A. when that 2008 when he got elected. So that was I just remember being there and just saying that was the first time I got into politics and this is
really started paying attention. Yes. Yeah, and I had to pay attention. That's the thing. Yep. And working for a very Democrat senator, and to your point, we always had MSNBC on, we always had CNN on, we would put Fox on to hear what they're saying, but I even was in the room with my senator on many occasions. I would drive him a lot, and I would just learn a lot, and I really started understanding the true division between what Democrats wanted and what Republicans wanted. And I would listen to the Democrat message. I would listen to Barack Obama, President Obama's messages. And I was like, oh, man, we're talking about kindness. We're talking about expanding and trying to give better lives. Now, whether that really happens or not, that's not what I'm talking about. We're talking about what made me. And through my work there, I really not only started going Democrat, I started going extremely, I'm going to say extreme, but I started going really lefty. I started going very liberal. I started going very, very progressive because I was hearing the messaging from both sides. And I'm like, whoa, y'all are trying to make us go back. I was also face to face with so many Rhode Island constituents who were very conservative and would call in and say the ugliest things, the most racist things, the most incredulous things that I was like, damn.
What are they calling in?
So you get to call your representative whenever you want. Now, I know things have changed. You can call. At the time, it was wild because you could just walk up to the office. You show up, boom, boom. There's security, Capitol Police. You walk up to the office and be like, yo, what's good? I live in Rhode Island. Can I say hi to the senator? Sometimes the senator was there. He'd come out and say hi. Yeah. Sometimes if he wasn't, they'd be like, nah, he's not here. And they're like, oh, can I leave a message? And they maybe leave a message or hey, can I get a tour of this and this? And I would be responsible for the tours. It was a completely different time.
Oh, that was wild.
Oh yeah. They say a lot of things changed during COVID.
Yeah.
But they say you could still, they're opening up again and doing that stuff, but that's what you can do.
Yeah.
And so I was just face to face with a lot of the ugliness, and I'm like, yo, don't get me wrong. There's, again, the Democratic Party. I don't even like associating with them now, and we'll talk about why I am where I am now. But my point is that I was like, okay, and I started going more and more left from that perspective. And that was a big turning point, was I got to work on Capitol Hill and see how the sausage was made, rather. Like, see it all.
At that time, it's crazy.
It was incredible.
Like, the transformation. I feel like, again, this is when you've seen, like, a transformation of politics becoming mainstream entertainment. And that's kind of like, oh, like, this is, like, we doing daily shows like these. Like, I mean, I still watch Morning Joe. Like, you started seeing these shows and people start having these political personalities. You start seeing these TV personalities of politics. Like, I even still remember, like, Harold Ford. I still watch on the 5. Just like him being like a big, because back then he was a Democrat and he kind of still is one nowadays. But like, I just remember like the Harold Fords and like being somebody I liked back then. And it was just like seeing these other political figures. Axelrod, David Axelrod went on to be
Dave Axelrod,
Obama's whatever chief of staff or something, I believe. Like, all those, and like just seeing those personalities the first time they started to come out, and I was like, oh man, politics is pretty interesting.
So, I think what was also playing big at the time was social media was starting to rise.
That is true.
And we have to remember that.
That is true.
And because while things were turning into clickbait for in the early 2000s, sure, you had the Rush Limbaughs on the radio shows that were coming out and shit like that. But like around that 2007, 2008 era is when social media really started coming huge. Facebook.
Yes.
Obama won a lot through grassroots campaign and through Facebook ads type of things where the younger people were in there. But that's when you started seeing the quote unquote influencers coming out and talking sideways and spitting lies and spitting all that. And I do think for me, that was also another big reason why I went more and more to the left, because I always believe that people on the right, conservatives, picked up onto that game a lot earlier than the people on the left and then the Democrats. So I saw a lot more lies and hateful things coming from the right, and that made me go, dog, like, how do you even believe this? Like, why do you think lesbian, gay, LGBTQA folks, people, like, don't deserve the same rights? Like, that doesn't even make sense to me. Why do you want to go back on diversity stuff? Like,
God said Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
Correct. So I think for me, now that we're talking through this, a lot of why I believe what I believe today and why I have gone so, again, I'm not even going to say so far, because, at the end of the day, I think I'm right. I think I'm correct, not right. I think I'm correct on it. Like, it was more out of such disgust for the shit that I was hearing and the tactics that I was hearing from the other side that has me so much in the belief of like, yo, I would never want to be on that side, on the right side, on the right, on the conservative side, because I just feel like there's so much hatred being spewed there a lot of times. And it started from, again, that 2007, 2008 era when social media really started coming up. And for any of our conservatives that are listening, I doubt that there are any, but for any that there are,
you're out there. We're giving advice for conservatives and progressives.
We do. That is correct. It's not, we give advice to everybody, but
it's bipartisan advice over here. Going across the aisle.
Shaking hands. But I can only speak my truth. That's just literally how I feel. And I think that was certainly huge, that part of my life.
During this time, was this having any impact on your friendships or relationships that you have with
No,
friends?
Not at the time. Not huge impacts. It was more, we would have friendly arguments. So that's a good point that you bring up. So, for example, in D.C., I had a really core group of friends that I really, really appreciated, that are some of my best friends today that I still talk to. And there was one in particular that he was Republican. Yeah. And so a lot of his arguments were that he was pro-life and blah, blah, blah. And he would argue with me like, oh, what you mean? Like, how are you going to kill a baby? And I'm like, bro, that's not what that is, right? Mm-hmm. But he was very Republican. But we were still friends. We were still really good friends. We had a blast. It didn't affect my friendships much at all at that time.
Yes.
Really, really at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived in D.C. Yeah. D.C. at the time was very predominantly, it's 93% Democrat. Like, that's one of the few places where it's literally like 93, like in the 90 percentage points. Yeah. And so there was very few Republicans then. And so it didn't really start messing with my friendships. It didn't start messing with any friendships or at least acquaintanceships till maybe like 10 years later, I would say.
Yeah.
All here in Texas.
Was this pre-Trump or post-Trump?
This is pre-Trump. Oh, when it started affecting my friendships?
Yeah.
It was post-Trump.
Okay. Because I feel like, in my experience, same with you, is that, like I said, my family's all Democratic. But once I went to college, that was my first experience of, like, dealing with Republicans. I've mentioned before, dating white girls and things, like meeting their families. Surprise, surprise, a lot of them are Republican. Still, I know it's crazy. It ain't even crazy. But anyways,
it's not crazy. It's unfortunately it's normal.
It is what it is. And it unfortunately, yeah. But so that was my first experience getting around conservatives and like Republicans and saying like, and the unfortunate thing was one of the jokes, and I had this joke in my head, and this to show you what I thought of even the two parties that kind of dictated, was that I couldn't wait in life to become a Republican. And the joke of that, me saying like, man, I can't wait till I'm a Republican, was that Republicans was the rich party. Because and as the party of the rich, that I made so much money. And the person I'm thinking of, like Colin Powell, was I actually like Colin Powell a lot. Books. Anyways,
he's very moderate actually, or was very moderate. Yeah.
So that was like, can't wait. That was the internal joke, was I can't wait till I get so rich to become a Republican. That is a joke. I'm saying it kind of facetiously, but like that was just the kind of the mindset I've had of like what the parties were. The difference between the two parties was that coming from, Arkansas, where there's a lot of lower economic, families, and then going and starting to see, Republicans and what they look like. It was kind of like, oh, okay, I see. This is the two differences. So that's why I was like fighting for the underdog, or fighting for the people, the party that was representing the people that look like me. That's what made me continue to be a Democrat. But like having that conversations with Republicans wasn't contentious. It wasn't ever like, it wasn't how it is now, what it's come to develop as it is today, to where now it's splitting up families, it splits up friends, it splits up, relationships. Like it's.
But they've always wanted it to be like that.
You think so?
I think they were just reeled in and checked him, because there was a level of decorum from both parties, where now we're gonna talk nice, now we're gonna be good here, and we're gonna do certain things. Like I even remember the 2008 campaign, John McCain, Maverick John McCain, who is a fucking moderate, which at the time I was like, fuck this guy, he's super conservative. But I remember him being at a town hall talking about a campaign, and some lady was like, well, Barack is a Muslim and blah, blah. And John McCain was like, no, we're not going to do that. He's not a Muslim. He's a loving, good man. Not that a Muslim shouldn't be. So I caught that too. But like he was like defending Barack Obama, and they were running against each other. You think that would ever happen now?
Oh, heck no.
That's crazy. The craziest thing Mitt Romney said in 2012, he was like, I got a binder full of women, when they were questioning about why he didn't have enough women that he was going to nominate in his cabinet. That was off the wall, and that lost him the election.
Yeah. Crazy stuff.
Like, and we have so much decorum, and now?
All out the window.
What are you talking about now?
Over one person, which is so crazy. Now, I don't want to dive off into the deep end on this one person, but it's just so crazy how it transitioned from then, where I feel like in 2008 when Obama was elected, if I felt like that was a time where politics was on this high trajectory. And it was this healthy trajectory where like, okay, like this is good for the country. And then to 8 years later to see when Trump came along and that all completely changed. And then as over the last, I guess since 2016, it's just been downhill, and what it's turned into, to where it's like, dang, how did we get here? It's crazy.
The reality is that we got here, I'm going to say because of Barack Obama, but I don't mean it's because of anything he did. It was a backlash because we had a black man in office, and there was a part of this country that would not fucking stand it. And they were like, this is absolutely unbelievable. Yeah. Now, granted, you're going to say, wait, but there's a lot of people that voted for Barack that are not voting for Trump. And I'm like, well, Trump came in and he stoked on these fears. And he stoked on all this because Barack Obama, what he did was he steadied things, but he didn't necessarily improve the lives of a lot of people in the middle. And I'm not blaming him or not blaming him. At the end of the day, there's very little a president can do to truly improve your life. Remember that I said that on both sides of the house. But there's a lot a president can do to fuck this country up. And I think people thought, because of the talk that that Obama had, which I genuinely believe that he thought he could do, he got in and was like, fuck. Like, this is what I'm up against. I'm not going to do it. And so there was this back, because you remember the Tea Party. And that's why the Tea Party is now all MAGA. That's what it was. It was the people that were like, nah, shit's crazy. Fuck this. We can't do this. And then when Trump came, he convinced the other people that had voted for Barack, like, yo, shit's fucked. Like, how's your paycheck doing? Is it doing any better? How's this doing? And they were like, you know what? Here's right. I'm gonna go with this brash guy.
But it wasn't on the paycheck. It was all on the emotional stuff that he was build the wall.
No,
We're not gonna pay. You don't have to pay. Mexico is gonna pay for it. All these illegal immigrants are coming in and they're taking your jobs. They're killing you. They're raping you. Like, all these
apologies. That's what I meant to say. I meant to say, are your paychecks getting any better? They're not, and here's why they're not. Then they started blaming, and this is what he does now. He's saying that your quality of life has declined because of these small marginalized community who have no power in this country to affect your paycheck. Immigrants, black people, LGBTQA people, trans people.
Nothing to do with why you're not getting that promotion.
But he's convinced everyone that that's the case. And again, this started with Barack and the fact that it was a black man that came in.
Yes.
And because there was no crazy difference in someone's quality of life, people were like, well, why isn't it better? He said it was going to be better. And then this motherfucker comes in, this orange fuck, and says, well, you're right, it isn't better. And here's why it's not better. And people are like, you know what? I never really liked them anyways. You're right. And they started going crazy. And here's where we are right now. And this is also furthermore, when we're talking about this pivotal moment, why I've swung so much to the left too. Because hearing that and being a conscious, intelligent, a cognizant human being, I know how wrong that is. I know how not wrong in both perspectives. Wrong is like, that's just wrong, but wrong is from a factual perspective. Like, we were talking about this before the podcast. Like, how do these people believe this?
Are we in the wrong? Are we getting it wrong? And I like it based on all the information that has been provided, and based on my capabilities to be able to dissect the information that's provided to me. I don't think that I'm getting it wrong yet. I turn on the TV and I see people who support things that seem inhumane. Like, who would support breaking up, like just randomly taking someone from their family and sending them to a whole nother country? Like, when did we become this? Like, we were a country that was built on immigrants, and like, why did we come to demonize them? And I don't even want to say them because it's not even, it has no impact on my life.
I think at the end of the day, the one thing that I do want to understand is, because I think, at least I spoke to where I stand today, and I consider myself very liberal, very progressive, very leftist. I do not like to consider myself a Democrat anymore, because the reality is, as much shit that I've been talking about the conservative Republican Party, I take the stance of, that movie, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly by Clint Eastwood from like the 60s?
Yeah.
The way I see it is that the ugly is the conservative party and the bad is the traditional corporate centrist Democrat Party.
Okay.
That's how I see it. I don't come here to necessarily defend the Democrat Party, because right now they're being very complicit. And at the end of the day, I think we are where we are today with this Trump regime, and everything that's going on is because the Democrats weren't strong enough, and they're actually siding a lot with the conservatives and with the Republican Party. So for me, I'll be straight up call myself a democratic socialist. That's what I would 100% call myself. I support Bernie Sanders and his message. I support the Progressive Caucus in the House of Representatives, the AOCs of the world, the Greg Casar, who's our representative here, the Maxwell Frost of the world, and who just won the New York mayoral Democratic primary, Zohran Mamdani, who considers himself a democratic socialist. Like, that's what I'm about. Because nothing they're saying is hurting anyone. And I mean, going after a particular marginalized group. Now, if you want to say they're going after billionaires, oh, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. We shouldn't have billionaires. That's the reality of it. I don't think we should have billionaires. They have too much power. What is being done and what has been done in this country is that we've been divided on purpose.
Yes.
To say that that's the enemy, the enemy, and we're fighting each other. To take our eye off what's fucking happening up here. When the top 1% owns 80% of the fucking wealth, controls the politicians on both sides of the fucking aisle. Open up your fucking eyes. It's not the LGBTQA community. It's not immigrants. It's not black people. It's not poor people who have no power. Nope. None whatsoever.
No effect on your life.
It's the people who have the power that are fucking you over and telling you need to worry about that guy or that girl over there. And that's why I feel so strongly about it, because you're never going to get that message from conservatives. Okay? You're going to get it sometimes from the Democratic side, and it's not going to be from a corporate Democrat. It's going to be from the left Democrats, the Democratic Socialists. So that's where I stand and why I stand there now, because as much as I do not like conservatives, especially today, as much as I don't want to be your friends, here's what I will tell you. I want you to have universal health care. Yes. I want you to get paid well.
That's the sad
I want you to have
this.
Fair education. I want you and any woman in the conservative party to have autonomy of her own body. I'm not trying to take anything from you. I want you to practice whatever religion you want to practice. If you don't want to have an abortion, then don't have it. Yep. That's on you.
I'm not trying to take you from
I'm not trying to take that away from you. That's what I want. As much as I don't want to be your friends, I still want you to live a complete and happy life where you're not being fucked by big billionaires and corporations. So I'm going to get off my rant that I was ranting. That's my high horse. I'm going to let you talk about, at least finish off with where you stand and I guess maybe what's
No, you said a lot of things that I definitely agree with in the sense of that I hate that people have been able to hijack words such as socialism or socialist. They keep throwing that word out there like it's this negative connotation like, oh, it's so bad that who would want to help other people in need?
Oh, God forbid.
Like what? Like, well, people pull it up by your own bootstrap and just do it on your own. Like nobody's doing it like that. No billionaire got to where they were on their own.
Correct.
On their own bootstraps, on their own, however you want to say it. They got there with the help of a lot of other people while also kicking people along the damn way. And then they turn around and say that, no, you're the blame, or as you mentioned, like, place the blame. No, don't look at me. I'm not the issue. I'm not the reason you didn't get that promotion.
Correct.
It was that we got this DEI policy.
Right.
What am I supposed to do? I'm the CEO. What can I do?
That's what they do.
But I look at your shares and you're going up. I took $1 from my salary. Okay, but what about the stock shares?
Yeah.
I paid out on
Yep.
I just don't understand, and I hate that that's where we're at, and that's where I am now as far as politically speaking, is that I definitely am still considering myself to be a Democrat in the way that I vote.
Correct.
However, I do think there are specific hot button issues that I don't necessarily agree with on the Democratic side, and I will say I don't agree with a lot of stuff that happens on the conservative side. Mm. But I still, even though I feel like I'm like a moderate, I would consider myself to be a centralist Democrat, and not. I would say I'm probably centralist Democrat. There's a lot of things I agree with that the Democratic Party do, but there's also some things I feel like, damn, we don't take it too far.
I disagree with you because I also don't think you're voting on those issues that you disagree on.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I'm a Democrat. I've never voted for a Republican. And the thing is, it's not that I wouldn't. If they came through with something that aligned with what I thought was right, I would go that way.
Sure.
I'm independent thinking. Like, that's why when people like say, like, if I talk to someone about like who's a MAGA and they're like, oh, well, what about Biden? Like, I'm not championing Biden. You see me out here defending Biden or whatever. Like, what about Obama? I like Obama, but that ain't like
end all be all.
Yeah, he could say he does wrong things. He's done things that maybe I don't agree with, and I don't even care. Like, it ain't that big of a deal to me. I just like the person, but I'm not following this person. This ain't.
And we're not cults. We're not in a cult.
Exactly.
We're not in a cult, and that's the thing.
Exactly.
And the only reason why I push back that, like, I'm like, I don't agree, because I do think that you are probably closer to me, and I know certain of the issues that we're talking about, but I think you also realize that even those issues where you're like, oh, we took it too far, I think you also realize that they're minute, and those are things that if we were to get a party, we can work on those things. We can talk about things, because I agree with you. There's certain things that are like, I mean, come on, this is crazy, but like, that's minute compared to some of the bigger things that we're talking about, and I know you know that.
Yes,
and so that's why I think you are closer to like.
Absolutely. And what I even hate even more about, like I say, I attach these negative connotations to like socialists, or even like the things that I don't necessarily agree with on the Democratic Party are so small. Yet they become a week-long story.
They hijack it,
and it's not that big of a deal. Like, we're talking about that don't have any impact on me.
Correct.
And that's why, like, I mean, like, I may not agree, but like whatever. But the thing about, I would say, I appreciate being in the Democratic Party is that just because something isn't good for me doesn't mean that it's not good. And everything doesn't have to be good for me. I don't have to benefit from every single policy.
Correct.
I don't have to benefit from every single decision. If someone else is able to benefit from a policy and it doesn't have like a immediate like harm on people, then I'm all for it.
Correct.
And it's like, oh, you're gonna pay taxes on this. Like, I'm paying taxes on whatever. Like, how much taxes am I really giving? What percentage of the taxes that I pay to the government this year did I give to whatever cause they're trying to say that I'm supporting over here? So that's why I'm like, I will say, I am definitely still on the Democratic side. I'm definitely on the left, but I just hate how they've hijacked these words and hijacked these ideologies of like.
I agree.
Man, this is so crazy that we got here. You would think with all the more information, the ability that we can actually get all the information, it got worse.
It's worse.
And that's what's
crazy. One last question for you on this topic, and it doesn't need to be super long, but do you think that you need to be politically inclined and politically involved in order to be a good adult? because I want to tie it back to the fact that this is about adulting. Do you think that that's the case? And there is no right or wrong answer. It's generally what you want.
I think it's, because when we're saying good adult, I'm assuming you're tying it to this like being a good, upstanding citizen, understanding what's going on in your community, how it impacts you and others. Then I think, yes, you absolutely have to be politically inclined because this does have an impact on your life. They passed this bill. It's going to have an impact on our lives, not like yours, not mine, not them, not people over there. Like all of our lives are going to be impacted by this.
Yeah.
And you do need to have somewhat understanding of what's going on in your world, in your community, in your area. I feel like it's important to be.
Yeah, I agree. Somewhat. I think we've slowly slipped into, on both sides, not just one side. We've slipped into this. If it isn't affecting me right now, it's not my problem. And I think what Herb is trying to allude to, and what I've been saying for a while to a lot of my liberal-leaning friends who are just like, oh, we just got to hunker down for 4 more years and we'll be all right. And I'm like, listen, dog, it might not be affecting you now, but you need to realize that it's going to trickle down and come to you eventually.
Yes. It's
like what Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere.
Yes.
It's coming, I promise. So we need to get up there. And in conclusion with this topic, before we jump into kind of our fun fact, literally fuck the two-party system.
And that's the
problem. Fuck the two-party system.
We have no other options.
We have no, so we're forced to go, I had to vote for Biden because it was that. Fuck Biden.
Yep.
And go vote in your primaries. Please vote in your primaries. All right. If you're a Democrat, go vote when it's time to vote for the Democrat. Look what just happened in New York with Zohran Mamdani winning. It was him against Andrew Cuomo. Everyone thought Andrew Cuomo was going to win just because of name recognition. Andrew Cuomo's been a Democrat for years. His father, Mario Cuomo, was the governor of New York. Fuck Andrew Cuomo. He's a scumbag. All right. But he's a Democrat. And so I don't want anyone to think that I'm out here, I'm always going with Democrats. Nah, fuck that. But you know what? Primaries fucking matter. That's the important thing. And that's the only way we can fight this because it's a two-party system.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And that's unfortunate. I mean, that's
terrible.
It. You're either a Democrat or a Republican. And if you don't vote for one or the other, you just supporting whatever one that gets in.
Yeah. There's so much more that I wanted to say, but we're gonna end it on that piece right there. I want to talk a little bit about some things that we want to teach you, some things that we learned right there. Did you want to go first? Did you want me to go first?
I'll let you go first today as I pull it up here.
All right. So I want to make sure you guys understand what was passed today in Trump's big piece of shit bill.
Let's hear about
which is my new thing. So a lot of it is just a continuation of the 2017 tax cut bill that Trump ended up passing. Yep. It was set to expire at the end of this year, so Republicans desperately wanted to go back and add and extend it. So a lot of it is just a continuation of that, but there's also a lot more that was added to it that's going to take away a lot of shit. So per the Congressional Budget Office, okay, look it up, the CBO, it's a nonpartisan congressional office. This bill adds $3 trillion to the national debt over the next 10 years. Now, if you recall, in my last 2 episodes ago, I talked about how the national debt is a bunch of bullshit. So I'm not saying that to say, oh, let's all be up in arms. But why I am saying it is because Republicans and conservatives are the first ones to say, we're adding too much to the national debt. And they yell from the top of a hill and they clutch their pearls. They have a tweet from Mike Johnson, who's the leader in the House Speaker of Representatives from 2022 saying, we can't add more to the national debt. And he just approved this bill where we're adding $3 trillion to the national debt. So it's a bunch of smoke and mirrors. It's a bunch of bullshit, but just throw that in there. The biggest thing here is there's going to be bigger tax cuts for the rich and corporations. That was really made. And here's what they say. They go, when you cut taxes for the corporations, it's better for the economy. The reality is, why do rich people stay rich? Because they don't spend money. They hoard their money and they throw it into buybacks. They throw it into all that. So they don't actually stimulate the economy, right? The way the economy gets stimulated is by people going out and spending money, right?
The middle class, what was happening in the 90s, the Clinton years was funnel the middle class. We're consumers. We'll go up, not to trickle down, but it was, through the middle class.
Correct. So I want you guys to realize that because they're going to give you that same bullshit. Well, when the ones who run the corporations, they're going to increase wages. They don't do any of that. It's not like, oh, we don't spend any more money on taxes or less money. We're going to give more money to our. Nah, that's not what we're going to do. They're going to hoard it and they're going to invest it in technologies like AI. That's just the reality of it. So just know that right there. They just don't do that. One of the biggest things that's happening here is there's major cuts to Medicaid and SNAP programs.
Okay. Now, that we talked about this is why
we did talk about this. Medicaid is health insurance for extremely low income families. So you have to have a certain tax bracket or income bracket to qualify for Medicaid. SNAP benefits is food stamps.
Yes.
Again, for lower income families, like the poorest of the poorest. They made huge cuts for that. Huge cuts for that. The CBO estimates that 12 million people, if not more, will lose all health coverage, because the other thing that they did as well is that they cut back big time on the Affordable Care Act, which was passed by President Obama in 2009. 2010. So we're going to have a bunch of people losing health insurance, and we already know how bad our health insurance now and how expensive it is. Now we're going to have a bunch of people completely off it. Like, literally, they're fucking poor people over. It's absolutely nuts.
Which is crazy.
It's crazy because it's all going for the rich. They think that the rich need more. Poor rich people, poor billionaires. 20% of people, it's estimated by the CBO, are going to lose access to food stamps.
But it's the 20% that were sitting on the couch that were supposed to be able-bodied males that were going to get off the games and go out there and start working, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what they're telling us.
That's the only people, right?
It's the only people. That's the only people, yeah. So it was needed.
Okay.
My ass. Look, it's a direct shot at poor people. That's really what's happening. And the last major thing, and this is what infuriates me more, is that the Department of Homeland Security just got the biggest check ever. Those are the same. That's Kristi Noem. Those are the ones that are doing all the deportations. $175 billion is going towards immigration reform. It's going to go with $50 billion going towards border wall and border protection, $45 billion to add to expanding immigration detention facilities like what they're calling Alligator Alcatraz.
And you've seen the shit flooding.
It's fucking insane. It's fucking insane. They're dehumanizing people. They're literally trying to criminalize, which, by the way, illegal immigration is a misdemeanor. I want you guys to know that. It's not a felony. It's a misdemeanor. It's a civil offense. What they're doing right now is so illegal by deporting people without due process. It's insane. And so now we're throwing way more money into this department to increase deportations.
Yes.
I'm just going to stop there. Those are just some of the things that are being passed in this bill. When I tell you it's going to affect us, every one of us is going to affect every one of us. Go ahead, Herb.
I'll keep this short and sweet, and we part of the bill is how it's going to affect the U.S. debt and how it's going to go up. So to keep it lighthearted, fun fact, when we're talking about the U.S. debt here, if you stacked $1 bills to equal the U.S. national debt, which is approximately $34 trillion right now, which is going to go right now, that stack would reach over 2.3 million miles, nearly 10 times the distance to the Earth. That's how much debt we're carrying right now.
To the moon?
Sorry, to the moon.
Yeah.
To the moon. Yes. From the moon to the Earth.
Damn. That's how much debt we're in.
That's how much debt we got. So
who we in debt to? The Decepticons I said last time?
They're gonna come collect it. If we don't get this thing under
fuck
control,
around and find out.
I mean, they coming to get it. Somebody's supposed to come get the debt at some point.
America!
And with that said, Derek, to celebrate this great nation its independence,
guys,
the reason why we even allowed to be here today.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Hey, guys, stay strong. I don't mean to be doom and gloom.
Be safe out there.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, just if you get overwhelmed with everything that's going on right now, just be where your feet are. All right? Just always remember that. Just be where your feet are. I'm a big worrier, and Herb knows that. I worry a lot. I over-worry, and at the end of the day, worrying doesn't help me or anybody. If I'm not good with myself, I can't go out and help anyone else. Like they say in the airplanes, if you don't put your air mask on, you got to put someone else.
Go first.
Be with your feet. Stay strong. This sucks, but we'll get through it, man.
Man, there we go. We did it again.
Happy birthday, bro.
Thanks, sir.
Enjoy it.